This creepy abandoned house is one of the most haunted places in the UK, and you're about to find out why. YouTube team The Ouija Brothers investigate. As they approach the home, they think someone is there.
I thought I seen something up in the top window then.
You might have,
Oh god.
because the door's locked.
I honestly thought I seen something up in the window.
They continue inside, and Carl thinks he sees something.
Whoa! What? Car.
No. Run.
It just says run on mine.
That message is chilling. In another hallway, they hear two distinct taps.
Cough.
They hear another unexplained noise next.
You hear that?
I didn't.
It's okay.
In your room?
Just in front of me, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I didn't make a noise. I'll check back on that.
And another.
What was that? Is that you?
You were me. It sounded like something coming from a cupboard.
It was like a... Or?
I'm not sure if any of this was actual proof that the place is haunted, but I do think these mysterious sounds, coupled with what the guys saw here, may warrant further investigation. While unknown sewer creatures are certainly scary, here's one real-life known creature you certainly wouldn't want to run into while peering into the sewage drain behind your home. Lou Cam published this skin-crawlingly creepy video in December of 2016. He seems to be lying right on the road in front of his home, where he tells his audience that he thinks he has an alligator in his sewer. It's pretty clear that he's telling the truth. As soon as the camera is angled into the darkness, sure enough, a shot into the depths below spies a pair of alligator eyes, and the undeniable view of the scaly monster just lurking there, a bright green toy ball inches in front of its chompers. This is no laughing matter. Although I doubt you were laughing at the sight of that frightening creature in the first place. To put this in perspective, an average adult American alligator is 13 feet long and 790 pounds. While they are generally timid around humans, they will attack and have been known to take people's lives. Just recently, a Florida woman disappeared while out walking her dogs, and her arm was found in the stomach of a massive 12-foot alligator who called a nearby swamp home. Alligators attack large prey by clamping down on it and dragging it into the water to drown it. Doesn't sound like a pleasant way to pass away. I'd advise Lou to get off the road and away from the sewer before it's too late. A YouTuber named Texas Savage has traces of paranormal activity left outside her bedroom door, or so she claims. Look at this part and tell me if you can see what she means. And if you can't see it, it's much more apparent in this next video of hers that I'm about to show. You can see it a bit better here, as she points out the individual fingers and notices the lack of a thumb.
Here's one, and here's one. But there's no thumb.
In this next video taken on a different day, you can get a better look at the handprints and see how long the fingers really were, far too big to be on her own. And since she claims to live alone, it can't be anyone else unless someone has been going into her bedroom without her knowing. On this day, she also finds some fresh scratches not too far from where the handprint is, and while inspecting the rest of her house, she finds two new marks at the bottom of her bathroom door that are perfectly aligned, almost like eyes. If you don't think this is real, then what do you think caused this? Just like all of the other markings, she can recall nothing happening in this room to make them appear overnight. This home in Villisca, Iowa is where an axe-wielding maniac once took the lives of an entire family and two guests. Whoever did it was never brought to justice, and now, more than 100 years later, the restless spirits of those left behind have yet to find peace. A YouTuber named Lighthouse Music senses the spirit of children hiding in the closet and starts recording. She speaks in a nice tone and offers candy. Nothing happens for some time until... Then, as if further proof was needed, the spirit appears to follow some other basic commands.
Just a little bit further, or can you close it?
They even ask the child to open the door wider than before as a test, and it timidly seems to obey. But the part that really has me convinced is at the very end.
Just in case that was you, I'm going to do as promised. I'm going to leave you some candy. I'm going to leave it right here, over here on this chair for you, okay? Well, thank you.
Notice how the door shuts harder than any other time in the video as soon as the spirit gets what it wants. Maybe it could be a draft from a nearby window opening and closing the door, but this definitely seems like childlike behavior to me. A TikToker named Rosie43201 says that this curtain started moving by itself while she was all alone. Since her cats are not close by and the air conditioner isn't on, the only explanation I have is that there's somehow a draft coming in through the window. If that's not the case, then I have no idea what could be moving this, and if she doesn't feel alone like she claims, then I'd say there's a strong chance that this is a real ghost. When you're in the middle of the woods, alone and defenseless, the last thing you want to hear is this. This horrifying sound, according to its uploader, is a cougar mating call, but what it sounds like is a woman shrieking for her life in fear or inexplicable horror, coupled with the moaning horn-like sound of an unknown creature. If you hadn't been told this was a cougar, how would you feel hearing this in the middle of the woods? I mean, maybe it's just more horrifying knowing that it is a cougar, as it might just go for your face. Redditor Eli uses Reddit shares his opinion saying, hearing this without thinking it's a cougar would honestly make me blank myself, with many in the thread agreeing with that summatation. Others liken the sound to a woman having her life taken, while some think it sounds like a zombie breakout or a banshee. Further in the thread, however, Redditor The Lil Hedgehog claims that this sound is not in fact a cougar, but rather really is the sound of a woman shrieking from some police body cam footage, which has been dubbed into the video. Does anyone familiar with animal sounds know what a cougar shriek actually sounds like? Whether or not it's a cougar, I'd have to agree that if I heard this noise in the forest, I would surely panic. Something is terrorizing these poor pets. Originally posted to TikTok by El Otrolado 21, a pair of pups are surprised by an unknown object being pulled or pushed across the ground. The security footage shows an item roll across the floor, seemingly on its own. Is it being dragged? Is it being rolled? By whom? One dog moves from his seat on the couch, while the other merely lifts his head as the object rolls before following his friend's lead. Is a human playing a trick on these animals? Or is it a phantom? The Sorrel Weed House is said to be one of the most haunted buildings in all of Savannah, Georgia. Two different women have met their end here. One of them named Matilda, who is said to still roam the courtyard in her black dress. While taking a tour of the area, a YouTuber named Billy Smith captures this quick video of a woman fleeing the house wearing an all-black corset. What's weird is how she never actually opens the front door to her left. Instead, she appears out of nowhere to cross the space between two columns, and then does emerge from the other side. According to Billy, this figure was heading in the opposite direction of the parking lot, so if they were a staff member, they would have to double around to get to their car eventually. He waited until 1:30 in the morning and saw no one else from the house for the rest of the night, and certainly no other traces of her. Nothing like an old village to cruise for some ghosts. Published in September of 2015, this footage purportedly shows a ghost near some old village homes. It's unclear where this video was shot, so it could be any old village anywhere in the world. Let's explore it. The clip takes in the surrounding area of these homes. Nothing appears out of place, although the homes seem to be abandoned. The camera follows some birds on a roof before panning down to capture some ants on the ground. The shot pulls up from the grass and mud and pans around the area. That's when you see it. Too quick to make out any details, an apparition in all black appears on screen for a brief moment, standing off in the distance on some pavement. The figure is still as the shot moves around. What is this? Do you think it's a ghost too? That's at least what the uploader claims. Many have debated whether it is or not, and with no other footage, it will most likely remain a mystery for the foreseeable future. This paranormal investigator regularly observes the Savannah Theater. This is one of the first videos Redditor background ad 6785 captured there.
Look at how much it slows down.
Yeah.
That's so
And the shape
insane.
is just what threw me off.
Wait, show
I've
the...
never seen that.
Do you see the thing flying around?
Look at how much it slows down.
Yeah.
That's so
And the shape
insane.
is
Why does it slow down so much? Some in the comments think it's dust or a moth. I do think both theories are likely, but I'd prefer to think there's something more mysterious happening at the Savannah Theater.
January 21st, about 11 p.m. I'm a couple hundred feet from my house, and you hear it going off in the background right now. Kind of sounds weird.
A brave man hears sinister laughter near his house and rushes outside to investigate. The maniacal laughter is moving closer to where he is standing now. He stands by the streetlight rather than going any further into the darkness on his own. I was thinking that this could be a simple coyote, but then he says this.
If foxes and coyotes have been around here that long, why we wouldn't have heard them before? And all of a sudden, since November, things have been just going crazy around our community.
So apparently, foxes and coyotes have been around this area for a long time, and never have they made these kinds of noises before, meaning that this was probably something different. I also really want to know what he meant when he says that strange things have been happening in his community in November. This video was apparently taken on a reservation in Oregon, but if anyone knows which one, then please let me know so that I can do some further research. Anyway, things seem to be quieting down when all of a sudden shots are fired and an unearthly scream fills the night air. If this was not a fox or a coyote, then what could it possibly have been? The Coonan Ghost House is a famous cottage in Ireland that has been haunted for over 100 years by a terrifying poltergeist who was possibly brought about by a witch in the family. Not even an exorcism was enough to rid the house of its curse, and so the family fled into the woods. Now, members of a paranormal research team called NK Hauntings are ready to go exploring the abandoned building in search of the legendary poltergeist and other scary things they can find. The investigation gets off to a rocky start when they jumble their words while addressing the spirit that resides there.
If there's anybody with us, you can communicate. Sorry, I'll start that again because that made no sense.
But something must have understood what they were getting at, because a possible ghost orb disappears into one of them shortly afterwards, perhaps selecting the ghost hunter with the most agreeable aura. The team puts down paranormal devices that will only light up when something taps on them. Just standing near the device or walking by will not set off this paranormal equipment, but a ghost touching it will. It isn't long before they hear scary noises even though there is no traffic and no wind. They're arguing about which direction it comes from when they hear it again. More scary noises.
Like it will come from that direction or in that direction.
No, I can't even hear it out here.
There, your cap all that up beside Alex.
Here's the paranormal sound again. Some kind of rising noise just before their paranormal equipment detects a ghost tapping on it.
I can't even hear it out here.
There, your cap.
Just to be sure, they all stand away from the ghost hunting equipment and ask the poltergeist to tap their equipment again.
Or light up another, oh my god.
And when the paranormal energy resides, they are able to summon the spirit again just by casually talking about it.
This poltergeist that used to torment the family, it used to bang around up the stairs apparently in the loft area, and...
Capo.
Capo.
Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo. Capo.
They note how cold it is in the vicinity where the poltergeist is believed to be standing, and the complete absence of life and warmth overwhelms them all. The trio activates a ghost listening device and picks up 2 words you never want to hear in a legendarily haunted house at night.
Murder. Was there someone hung here?
I think an EVP of a woman's cut-off scream in reply to this morbid question certainly counts as a yes. A man finds himself trapped on the 30th floor of the Shinjuku Center building in Tokyo after the entire city was rocked by a 9.1 quake. Now nowhere is safe and there is nothing left to do except to record as doors and cabinets swing open uncontrollably and the entire building shakes. Everything grows eerily silent, and then this voice cuts through the speakers. There is a lot of frantic chatter in the background, so I think it was a live broadcast, not a recording. Try and translate if you can, because if you were there, your life may have very well have depended on following these instructions.
ただいま大きな地震を感じました。この建物は地震に対して安全な設計になっております。
After a while, the speakers turn off, and the guest hopelessly watches as the buildings sway like trees. It's kind of hard to see what I'm talking about, because the building he's in is shaking too. This second video, taken near the top floor of the Shinjuku Center building, shows how bad the shaking really was. The buildings look like they are going to topple at any moment, but they are actually designed to be incredibly flexible and can withstand intense vibrations. Keep in mind that these are just the smaller aftershocks and not the actual quake itself, which was, believe it or not, much worse. A YouTube channel called Meet the Vloggers goes exploring a haunted cemetery in the United Kingdom in search of an authentic ghost encounter, and they think they've caught a bizarre moment on tape. After a tight squeeze, the 3 of them are in and immediately feel surrounded by negative energy.
First, we've just come into the haunted cemetery and we're gonna have a look around. It feels really eerie, like really starting to get dark a lot as well. We're staying here, we're doing exploring, man. This girl doesn't understand what exploring means.
One already wants to head back while there is still light to be had, but is quickly persuaded to stay. Night falls and their unwavering dread reaches peak levels.
100%.
I'm really not.
Oh my god, I'm so scared. What?
One of them, Layla, sees something ahead, but nothing is caught on camera. Aside from an empty walkway, no ghost sighting, at least not yet. Little do they know a 4th person is moments away from joining their trio. They take a few steps forward and Layla begins to freak out again. She must have a 6th sense or something, because this time there is frightening paranormal evidence.
This is so creepy. No, I'm actually bugging. There's a guy behind us.
A strange and mysterious figure silently approaches them without saying a word. Keep in mind this is after hours, and they themselves had to sneak in through the gate, so whoever this is, they are not likely a visitor. That leaves a maintenance or security, but if that were the case, then they would have said something to 3 people trespassing. Night has fallen and they are on their way out when they hear some really scary noises that prompt them to move a little faster.
Wait, turn off the torch.
What is that? I don't know. Go see what they're doing first.
Across from them is a humming, crying noise coming from some kind of candlelit vigil that they don't want to investigate. If they did, they might have encountered the scariest ghost sighting ever caught on camera. A crumbling cemetery in New Orleans is crawling with restless residents. If this scary sighting is to be believed, at 18 seconds a stone slab lays on the ground as if recently removed. 20 seconds later, this mysterious figure, to use their exact words, is caught on video walking between some tombstones. This could simply be one of their friends, but if not, then seeing a random person while exploring an abandoned cemetery is really bizarre, and also more than a little creepy. They are unable to get the figure on video again, and so they leave. In 2019, an allegedly real supernatural creature sighting video emerged from Sindh, Pakistan. According to villagers, this bizarre humanoid was caught entering houses and attempting to devour them. They all formed a group to chase it with sticks down the street into the night. While dodging blows at exactly 7 seconds, the creature looks to reveal a furry face with all red eyes. However, I think this looks like a mask worn by somebody pretending to be a monster. Maybe the villagers were making a fake video, or maybe in their mass panic they were really fooled into believing this monster existed. I'll keep an eye out for similar sightings around Pakistan, but I don't think I'll find many like this one because, well, it probably isn't real. If I'm wrong though, and plenty of people who've seen this video think that I am, then this creature sighting would be absolutely horrifying to have caught on camera. I wish they had a longer recording of the incident. When Ravi Singh and his friends see two mysterious figures in white, they have an odd reaction and decide to flash their high beams instead of driving away. I feel like they're trying to prove a point here, but I don't understand. So if you speak the language, tell me what they're saying.
आगे कर अपर डिप पर मार तो प्रवास और द्वापा उमन.
What's kind of weird is how the possible spirits always seem to stay just outside of the headlights, almost like they want to follow but only while staying in the darkness. And I think they are trying to point out that the spirits do not show up on the dash cam, but I'm not sure.
हाँ जान दे पीछू जान दे जान दे पीछू.
I'm hoping someone can translate this scenario because I really want to know what's going on. Kevin Ramos is holding a paranormal investigation session at the Fort Delaware, which was in use from the mid-1800s to the mid-1900s, and is said to be ripe with spiritual activity even after being decommissioned well over 50 years ago. After a day of walking, they stop and ask a few questions to the spirits upon nightfall. Look what happens when they try to get to know more about the ghost of a person stationed here.
Did you like him? Can you cross the road if you liked him?
First, a white apparition passes by, followed by a black shadow that one of them actually catches out of the corner of their eye. This isn't their reflection in the window because none of them are walking, and in this exact moment, this person thinks they feel a tap on their shoulder and shine a light behind them to make sure. It definitely looks like something was near them to say the very least. Why she didn't say something as soon as it happened is something I don't know. I guess they were too scared at the time. Barack Ali offers this video as proof that his house is haunted, but maybe there is more to it than that. Listen to this part and tell me if you can hear a fan or some kind of air current or really anything that could be causing the door to slam like this. I've seen a draft cause a door to slam shut one time, but never over and over. Have you? Barack records the top and bottom of the door to show that no one is near it, so this absolutely has to be a 1 in a million problem with the ventilation system, or else the supernatural at work. We've all been there. It's a stormy night. Every sound in the house is an evil entity vying for your soul. That must have been what this man was feeling when he saw this happen in his dining room on a stormy night. The clip shows a man enter his dining room, which appears completely normal. Every chair in place. He enters his laundry room, then casts the camera down the stairs. It appears that something must have happened to cause him to search his house. He says hello down the stairs. Is someone or something there? He decides to go into his basement to investigate. The wooden steps are incredibly rickety. As he's nearing the bottom, a terrifying racket is heard upstairs. He runs for his life, only to find his kitchen chairs precariously stacked up, balanced one on top of the other. The dining room light is swinging around. The shot is still as the man crosses the room and stands frozen in fear at this ominous sight. The overhead light continues to swing, and nothing is there. There's something especially uneasy about the stacking of this man's furniture. Part of that uneasiness comes from the fact that no human could have done this particular building job in the short period of time that the man was away. Who do you think did it? Or what? This urban explorer thinks he's in an abandoned building. Maybe not. Published by Bulgarian channel Peony Studio in December of 2020. The scary video shows the cameraman standing in a stairwell. He hears something above him that sounds like footsteps. He looks up. After a moment, a hooded figure moves into view, just one floor up, blocking the sunlight from a window above. He stands there and they stare at each other for a moment. Then, terrified, the cameraman takes off running. Who is this figure, and what does it want? As it appears for now, we will never know. A YouTuber named Jamie Sinclair is hanging out with her friend and her dog when she records some weird things. What the? She looks up to see a swing set is moving on its own. As she gets closer, we can notice some things that make this unexplained video even more mysterious. Okay, so the obvious answer is that it's the wind, right? Wrong. Look at this rope next to it, stationary. Are you meaning to tell me that the wind is strong enough to push this swing but not move this rope? I don't think so. Footprints are all around the swing, so I'm not acting like her friend couldn't have pushed it and then acted surprised, but the point is there's no way to tell for sure, and even the smallest chance of paranormal activity is still creepy to think about. Please don't try this yourself, but apparently there's a part of the eye that can be touched without producing a stinging sensation. This person pulls down their eyelid and gives a sharp poke to the outside corner of their eye like it's no big deal. He presses down several times in a row without even watering up, which is certainly more than I can say for myself while watching this video. I don't even want to know how he figured out this bizarre trick or how many times he had to practice before getting it right. This TikTok user has no dancing or lip syncing, just a creepy room with whispering voices on the other end of a white door with no knob. The lack of a knob does not stop some force from opening and closing the door. The door is fully shut and you can even hear the latch unclick here. Finally, with absolutely no edits or cuts, the person recording gets up to reveal a small closet with just clothes inside. Luna Meow has a natural ability to communicate with the paranormal that she intends to explore to the fullest on her ghost hunting channel by the same name.
Guys, to turn on the flashlight that's next to me. Please. Do you think you can do that? How many of you were married when you... Okay. I don't like that. That's scary.
At 17 seconds, she appears to feel a presence draw near, and when she looks over her shoulder a second time, the flashlight is on. It doesn't look like anyone is nearby, at least nobody who is alive. The object just turns on by itself like a ghost touches it.
Turn the flashlight on.
They aren't interested in answering any more questions and simply turn the flashlight off without further interaction. Maybe they just wanted to let Luna know that they were here, watching. During a different investigation, Luna and some friends try to summon a spirit, and it just might have worked.
Oh, look at it, look at it.
Thank you. You know, other people are here, aren't you? Don't you?
Does unveil make you happy?
But perhaps the creepiest video of all comes from the Omen House in Beverly Hills, California. This is where a nefarious group gained access to a famous celebrity's home, and she did not last against them for long. Their paranormal equipment detects the motion of a spirit nearby, though it could be detecting the movement of this ghost hunter picking up the K2 meter at 5 seconds. Still, if you look very closely, the K2 meter detects a spike of paranormal energy at the same time the motion sensors go off, and shortly thereafter this mysterious blue light sweeps across the room that they all swear was not a flashlight. I have my doubts about this until one of the team bangs a shelf and jumps up and down to demonstrate that all of the items on this shelf are stable, but as soon as he walks away, this object falls over by itself, something which apparently happens all the time.
Want to show them one more time? A final goodbye before they all leave? Or are you just gonna keep doing this? They're gonna jump.
The same exact object falls over all by itself. On one hand, the same object moving twice could be a sign of a ghost manipulating objects at will, but on the other hand, maybe this toy is simply unbalanced and falls over on its own a lot. Still, the fact that it happens while he is walking away seems to suggest that this is the work of a ghost with selective intelligence who wants attention. When you hear something outside and you don't know what it is, it's probably best not to go in search of it. That's what YouTuber Leviathan did in January of 2020, writing, "We've been hearing chilling sounds from barn, and we decided to investigate. What we've seen lurking in there was petrifying. Is there someone who is able to identify the creature?" The video shows the pair walking through the darkness in the woods at night. They enter a wooden barn and are shortly met by this terrifying rattling howl. When the thing starts banging around the barn, the pair of thrill seekers don't stay long enough to find out what was making that noise. Who can blame them? Would you want to face whatever is making this sound? In the nighttime darkness? Me neither. This old VHS tape from 1999 could have captured a ghost, but I need your help to tell if it's true.
If you look to the right of the two tombstones, you can clearly see a figure standing there dressed in white.
I definitely see the ghost in question, especially when you zoom in. There's actually a surprising amount of detail, and I can even make out the buttons on their shirt and possibly a long musket. At the same time, I have some other possible explanations as to what this could be. This could be the open space between two trees, in which case the vivid details are nothing more than a random arrangement of branches. This could also be a cemetery statue from afar. This was taken way before high definition, so it's hard to tell for certain, but I'd still like to get your thoughts. When you're in the middle of the woods, alone and defenseless, the last thing you want to hear is this. This horrifying sound, according to its uploader, is a cougar mating call, but what it sounds like is a woman shrieking for her life in fear or inexplicable horror, coupled with the moaning horn-like sound of an unknown creature. If you hadn't been told this was a cougar, how would you feel hearing this in the middle of the woods? I mean, maybe it's just more horrifying knowing that it is a cougar, as it might just go for your face. Redditor Eli uses Reddit shares his opinion, saying, "Hearing this without thinking it's a cougar would honestly make me blank myself," with many in the thread agreeing with that summatation. Others liken the sound to a woman having her life taken, while some think it sounds like a zombie breakout or a banshee. Further in the thread, however, Redditor The Lil Hedgehog claims that this sound is not in fact a cougar, but rather really is the sound of a woman shrieking from some police body cam footage, which has been dubbed into the video. Does anyone familiar with animal sounds know what a cougar shriek actually sounds like? Whether or not it's a cougar, I'd have to agree that if I heard this noise in the forest, I would surely panic. A YouTuber named Bad Choice Noah decides to live up to his name by feeding his huge collection of snakes alone in the dark. at 3 a.m. He's hoping to catch something paranormal on video while he's at it, but something almost catches him instead.
You go, Ricky. Oh, God, I almost just got destroyed by him.
The large snake misses its target and nearly peels out of its container onto the floor. Noah's incredibly lucky to have pulled his hand away in time, or the snake would have had that to bite on instead. This ghost is hungry. Published by Pilot Error Podcast in December of 2020, this woman was finally able to capture on camera what had apparently been happening for a while. After hearing a noise in the kitchen, she grabs her camera and waits. That's when she sees this. The cupboard is opening just a little bit at first, then it opens a little wider, and then, instead of running away from the spirit, this woman runs toward it.
Open.
And once in the kitchen, things get worse. Is this poltergeist just inviting everyone to dinner? And will you attend? Should be an interesting enough meal. Lately, Louise Paxton has been scared out of her mind while staying alone at her house. She says that every night a tall man dressed in all black stands outside of her door without saying a word. Now he's back. She goes to call the police, only to find her cell phone has not been charged. At this point, Louise feels enough is enough, blade in hand. The terrified woman unlocks the door and confronts her stalker for a final showdown. She swings open the door and finds absolutely nothing on the other side. The wind picks up and howls down a cold, empty alleyway. Judging by this video evidence, it looks as though this person is an incredibly sly stalker, in which case I'm sure her problems are only just about to begin. I hope she's alright, but it's been a long time since she's posted anything to her channel. Do you feel like you're being watched? Maybe you are. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Gage the Sun, this short clip will have you looking over your shoulder. Titled Eyes Out of Nowhere. There is no explanation for this footage. The clip shows two bright blinking eyes in the darkness hidden just beyond a pillar. They blink and then open once more. Then the dim light goes black, and this pair of glowing eyes are all you can see. Don't look into the dark corner of your room after watching this clip, or your imagination will keep you up all night. When you want to get away from it all and get back to nature, camping is an ideal way to self-isolate, but sometimes you're not alone. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by WillyComics64, the Redditor writes, I found this guy near my campsite, and I don't know who he is or where he came from. The clip shows a man lurking in the trees near Willy's campsite. He appears and then just as quickly vanishes. While some in the comments don't find this all that odd, as hiking is part of camping, others think it's just a little weird that the stranger didn't introduce himself and just seemed to disappear in an instant. Willy explains in the comments that the situation freaked him out because no one was renting the site next to him, and he didn't see this man at any other campsite or on the trail that loops around the campground. Redditor Laura Malia 649 writes, and this is why I fear people when I camp more than the wildlife around me. Others think that the man acted very suspiciously and hoped that the Redditor has something to protect himself with. Redditor FakerHoach 10,000 suggests that perhaps the man was growing deep in the woods and just came out to look after his plants. Willy can only hope that these assessments are right, because if this man is anything other than a hiker, a camper, or a grower, then who knows what his intentions are. Ball lightning are luminescent phenomenons usually linked to thunderstorms. The rare anomalies have been recorded throughout history in various sizes, from the size of a pea to several feet wide. The following clip appears to capture this phenomenon. Published to YouTube by Roman Tregubov in August of 2016, the so-called lightning fireball was captured in Russia at the edge of a field. Stormy weather darkens the sky as the fireball moves slowly across the horizon. Surrounded by blue lights, the ball flares up randomly and disappears behind some tall trees, but is still visible beyond. Although some are sure this is ball lightning, YouTuber Jason W suggests an alternative theory in the comments, to which others agree. He writes, "That's an arc of electricity going across two different phases on a power line. Not that weird, but pretty cool to witness as long as you're far away." The Redditor claims that there are no power lines in this area to validate this explanation, but again, it's hard to tell from this distance. What do you think? Do you agree with Roman or Jason? Either way, this brilliant ball of light would be a crazy sight to encounter. Redditor Comfortable Cry 8097 heard a noise while in bed. When she checked out her Ring camera the next morning, this is what she saw. First, a noise is heard. Now watch the back center near the banister. What is that? To most in the comments, it looks like a full-bodied ghost, and it sounds like it's causing even more mayhem in the home. According to the Redditor, the figure was heading toward her bedroom, but the door remained shut. Well, most agree that it's a ghost, and I concur. Some suggest this could be a compressed artifact or some other camera glitch, but what of the noise? That one is not so easily explained. This one's a real head scratcher. This Redditor shared this video of a USB cable with a life of its own. Let's take a look. Let's see it again, slower this time. The cord is still for about 20 seconds and then becomes active again. If you zoom in on the cable, it does look like there's something attached to it about 2 inches below the head. But you can't see the string, so I'm hesitant to say that's not just a reflection of light on the cord at certain angles. I can't offer a resounding verdict on this one. What do you think it is? Two friends are live streaming in Malaysia when some of the scariest moments of their lives are caught on camera in front of all of her followers.
Sekarang pindah. Apa tu duk? Scary gila.
Shadows swirl overhead, and the door slams shut even though they are the only two people home. When she looks back, her friend is no longer the same person who she's always known.
Okay, stop.
If you look closely, you can see she grabs a cross out of her purse. As soon as she touches the object to her friend's arm, she screams as if the object burns her to the core. A couple other points for my final analysis. When the lights go out at 1 minute and 7 seconds, you can see a shadow person walk into the room. This shadow was caught on live stream and apparently is not special effects. 2, they are listening to some really creepy music before all of this scary stuff happens. It doesn't even sound like a song, just a slowed down chant of some kind. What is this person saying? And is this related to what happened to her friend? She seems very scared when she ends the live stream, and most people seem to agree this video is both paranormal and real. Next time you're confronted by voices in a haunted house, you should probably just skip town. Redditor Alex_paranormal TV posted the scary paranormal investigation to the Chills Narrator subreddit. It was originally posted on YouTube in February of 2020. The house being explored is a Cole Harbour house in London. As Alex Paranormal explains, we investigate the Cold Harbour house that no one wants to live in because of the extreme activity and what resides inside the Shadow Man.
Well, there's been a f*** in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, there's been a fire in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
The exploration turns up loads of paranormal activity. At 8:53 in the video, Alex mumbles something as they're exploring, to which a disembodied voice answers, "Yeah." A little later, after setting up the spirit box, it either moves or falls over on its own at 16 minutes 7 seconds.
Well, it's going through stuff, mate. Did you just knock that?
Oh, mate. I'm not done with that.
Who are you?
A short time after, at 16 minutes 55 seconds, an evil laugh occurs as the team attempts to speak with the spirits.
Is this your room?
Where are you?
The laughter occurs again at around 22 minutes 9 seconds. And at 22 minutes 49 seconds, a grunt can be heard.
You just grunt then? What was that? Was that you?
As they're talking about the grunt, a very audible knock sounds on the adjacent door at 23 minutes 35 seconds. They continue to explore the haunted house. While they're in a hallway, about to enter another room, a door slams at 26 minutes 55 seconds.
Hold on. Is that you?
No.
Continuing in their exploration after a while, they discover an old Tonka truck in a room. When one guy asks if that's an old Tonka toy, a disembodied voice at 31 minutes 52 seconds answers yeah.
Look at that. That's an old Tonka toy, isn't it?
What is?
A number of other disembodied voices are noted throughout the video, as if the house was whispering a secret to them, if only they'd just listen. What was it trying to tell them, and what would you do in a house that talks to you? I'd just move out. YouTuber Stavanka, also known as Stephanie from 90 Day Fiancé, is certainly no stranger to having bizarre moments caught on camera, but nothing could have prepared her for a creepy surprise like this.
I don't really talk about paranormal stuff on my channel.
The reality TV star thinks she could have possibly caught real evidence of a paranormal ghost sighting on her home CCTV system. Let's analyze the events and see if this spooky encounter is real or fake. One night, while entertaining her family, Stavanka casually opens up the security app to check her CCTV cameras. That's when she discovers some mysterious activity going on in front of her house.
Eventually it dawns on me like, that's a figure of a person.
Within 10 seconds, the bizarre figure seems to transform into a solid white, ghostly floating form. Stavanka herself alternates between believing and not believing the activity is paranormal. I don't want to get anything wrong, so these are her exact words at 6 minutes and 10 seconds.
I think it's a ghost. Everyone I've talked to, everyone I've showed it to, even skeptics are like, that's a ghost.
So she thinks it's probably paranormal, which is fair, but I do have a theory. The porch light and the lamppost are reflecting light back into the camera, which could create this bizarre effect in the middle. But with that said, Stavanka has tried to recreate this scary moment many times, and she has a legitimate question.
Maybe it was a glitch, but then like if it was a glitch, then why did it stop? Like why did it only happen that one night?
I can't say for sure, but I suspect that one of the lights was out when she tried this again. I think both of the lights have to be on at the same time for this bizarre occurrence to happen, but if she did replicate this under the exact same lighting conditions and saw nothing, then it would prove that this is a mysterious figure caught on tape after all. When somebody finds a spider in their home, Some people would swat it on the spot with the nearest object, while others would try to find some way to let it go outside. Then there are a small percentage who would grab a camera and let the spider crawl all over them, like Feo 3 here.
Oh yeah. I got a spider crawling on me.
He never intended for the arachnid to take a detour across his throat and then stamp its way across his face. He manages to stay calm and only has one thing to ask.
And it's crawling on my face, isn't it?
Why, yes it is. Right towards your ear hole, unfortunately. Thinking fast, he tries to divert the spider away from his ear, but ends up encouraging it to almost burrow straight inside. He is so lucky that the spider decides not to do that, because that would have been a horrible trip to the hospital for sure. Not that having a spider in your hair is any consolation prize, but you get what I mean. There's nothing more haunted than something that moves of its own accord, except maybe when it jolts aggressively of its own accord. Submitted to Reddit by Nick4566. This swing in India is not child's play. Nick writes, this was seen in a well-known city of India. The park is closed since a year as a lady took her own life here long back, and the park is not used by children. Watch the swing at the beginning of the clip flinging back and forth on its own. It's a bit unnerving already, but as some in the comments point out, someone might have pushed it before the person began filming. You probably thought that yourself, but watch further. The swing slows halfway through the video only to suddenly jolt back to life. Flinging aggressively back and forth. The leaves in the surrounding trees are barely fluttering, so none of this could be due to wind or nature. It's completely supernatural. Could the spirit of the woman who took her life still be here? And why is she swinging? We may never know. Sidestep Adventures is surprised to actually find what he's been looking for out in the Georgia woods.
You stepped on it? Oh wow. There it is.
Another person's grave. They carefully reassemble it and respectfully read her name out loud.
Yep, there it is. Sacred to the memory of Mrs. Jane. And died November 3rd, 1843.
Under the heavy marker, they find a crushed bouquet of flowers left by a loved one. The petals are in excellent condition and largely retain their color. Finding fresh flowers under a more than 100-year-old grave is already weird enough, but then Sidestep Adventures reads more and realizes who this Mrs. Jane is to him.
And Stacy Duckworth and Samuel were my great-great-great-grandparents. So she was actually a half-sister to my great-great-grandfather.
So let's recap. He literally stumbles across an extremely concealed grave in the middle of the woods. Fresh flowers are underneath despite the grave being from 1843. Then he discovers it's a long-lost relative and has to admit that this seems like it could be fate.
Well, we did find it somehow. I tell you, if you hadn't stepped on it, we wouldn't have.
It's almost as if the spirit of his ancestor was waiting to be found. Crazy George's Bridge is the name of a legendarily haunted location in Tennessee. This bridge overlooks the very same tracks that a man named George once wandered onto and met a terrible fate. Now George's angry ghost chases away anyone who says his name 3 times. Strange magic rituals are also said to be practiced out in the woods to honor his name, and so paranormal activity has become a regular occurrence over the years. Tonight, a brave YouTuber named Mads Entertainment is ready to settle the legend of Crazy George once and for all, and so he goes on a paranormal exploration of the bridge at night from the top to bottom.
Crazy George! Crazy George! Crazy George!
The sound of an approaching engine turns out to be nothing more than oncoming traffic. They refuse to give up the ghost hunt and try to address the paranormal directly by speaking into the night sky.
If anyone's here, you can come speak into my camera.
They are positive that these sound like the noises of a little ghost girl screaming in the woods, possibly a manifestation of black magic rituals in the past. I'm not so sure because I think it could be an animal. Here's the sound again. Let me know what you think this scary voice in the darkness belongs to. A ghost hunting channel in Portugal called Supernatural Persecution is attempting to solve an unexplained mystery that's been haunting locals for years. According to legend, this haunted place in the dark, creepy woods is where a bride-to-be once threw herself onto train tracks after discovering her fiancé was unfaithful. Ghost sightings have occurred ever since, and few dare to explore here because so much has already gone wrong. While walking down the long forgotten path, flanked by scary woods on both sides, they think they hear something.
Leonardo, tá vendo alguma coisa? Vai. Leonardo, tá vendo alguma coisa? Vai.
Scary voices and other weird noises from within the haunted woods. The ghost bride is near, as the ghost hunters squint into the darkness.
Leonardo do céu! Olha o vulto branco lá, ó! Passando atrás de você, cara!
A mysterious figure, an apparition, crosses their path and leaves them absolutely terrified. The possible sighting of a ghost wearing a white bridal gown, well creepy, could also be someone in black clothes holding a white sheet over their head to create the illusion of a long flowing headdress. It's too far away to tell for sure. Likewise, this alleged ghost voice sounds more like one of their friends, rather than something supernatural wailing in anguish. But even though I'm not fully convinced, this paranormal evidence has thousands convinced that it's real, so maybe I'm wrong. You probably don't see anything off in the distance, but Sabura Rout has lived in India for many years and is familiar with this train route. He knows where to look and quickly spots something up ahead. Lurking many yards away is a shadowy figure who is up to no good. I will give you one more chance to spot them and save your own life. If you fail, then consider yourself the next easy target. The person waits for the train to pass and launches a rock in hopes of making this YouTuber drop his phone, which he plans to retrieve and probably sell for money. Fortunately, he is ready and dodges it easily. I can only imagine how many people have not been as prepared as him and had their phone fall straight off the train. YouTube team Ozark Paranormal Project sets up a stationary camera in this haunted room. While the group is all hanging out in the hallway, notice that their shadows cast from a light in the next room to the upper wall. But later, when no one's there, strange lights are cast on the room's walls. What was that? Watch above the open door. It almost looks like fairy dust. It doesn't appear the same as the other light sources falling in the room, but is it paranormal? I think it's more likely a camera glitch of some kind, but I've never seen one so bizarre. These friends are hanging out at the end of a cul-de-sac when one of them, named Robert, loses his skateboard down a deep sewer grate. Most skaters would probably call it quits then and there, but Robert forces his way through the grate and soon becomes just as stuck as his board. They all laugh and make jokes as they wait for rescue workers to arrive, but as you can see by this nervous nail biting, the situation is much more serious than anyone is letting on. Firefighters are unable to pry open a nearby manhole cover. Thinking fast, they send a line down for Robert to grab and eventually fish him out that way. After the whole ordeal is over, one of the men explains that Robert is lucky to still be alive.
You know what's down there? Not really, probably a lot of diseases. Yeah, well, not only that, but there could be like chemicals that could kill you like that, dude. It's a sewer. You know what I'm saying?
This calm and professional explanation will hopefully make Robert think twice if this ever happens again. Experts have yet to debunk a YouTube channel claiming to break the very boundaries of space and time. The channel features no less than 8 videos taking place over the course of a year, which focus on a strange glowing device. The device apparently uses different tones and frequencies to experiment with interdimensional travel. Here you can see the first real signs of success from a video in 2017.
There's the fracture.
Some sort of molecular rift opens between his very eyes and looks very convincing. The rift appears to move very realistically with the camera and does not look to be CGI. After a few months of research and careful adjustments, he finally figures out the correct combination of frequencies to open the rift wider than ever before. Again, nothing about this looks like CGI to me. The way the rift moves with the camera would have been very hard to digitize frame by frame in my opinion, especially when the camera goes out of focus at the 1 minute 50 second mark. Soon the edges of the rift grow thin, and another world emerges. If this video is to be believed, then what you could be staring into is an alternate timeline of our own world. So far, video editing experts have yet to disprove this video, so let me know if you think it's fake or real based on what you've seen here. John of a paranormal channel called Exploration Unknown investigates an abandoned farmhouse late at night. He and 2 other ghost hunters split up and then reconvened downstairs to discuss what they found, which was little more than some empty rooms and loose steps.
The floors upstairs are pretty spongy. I did it, but I doubt it.
After talking with Tim, John walks through the first floor, and at 11 minutes a shadow figure is caught on tape moving above him.
We've got the K2 meter over here in this window. We're getting things set up. Alright. And then in here, we got Josh on the porch.
It's not Josh because Josh is on the porch outside, and it's not Tim because they just had a conversation about how dangerous the floor was up there. And for some reason the legs remain covered in darkness, even though enough light hits the area to show the banister is brown, so there's a strong chance that this ghost video is real. Franco TV is one of the few ghost hunters I've come across who isn't afraid to investigate solo. In fact, he prefers it. Charging into the middle of the action and staying put is his style. Rarely does he run. On September 7th, 2018, Franco TV goes to an abandoned house that's way out in the Florida forest. I can't tell you the exact location, but I can tell you the name, the Edison House. What's inside leaves him a sweat-soaked mess. The address is so secret that he had to track down some of the previous owners to find it, and since no one can stand living here for more than a few months, there were plenty of previous owners to choose from. It was accidentally built over a gravesite according to them. And that's all they will say because it's so cursed that just talking about it could possibly bring about years of misfortune. None of this concerns Franco enough to keep him from going inside. Through the condemned door is a trashed interior that fills the investigator with the type of dread that burns stronger with every step. Everything about it feels off and wrong in a way he can't explain. Past a crumbling kitchen is a small kid's room that feels colder than the rest of the house. And as he's reading but not adhering to the simple instructions on the wall,
get out.
he hears the giggle of a child. The laughter comes from behind him, practically in his ear, and he turns against a wall with a mysterious red stain that looks like it's squirted out of someone's neck. Across from him, this witch-like face appears against the window. It's most visible at approximately 3 minutes and 12 seconds, eyes and all. Undeterred, he goes to where it was standing and looks inside the room he was just in. As he's doing this, the same face now regards him through a crack in the doorway at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. It doesn't look like it's part of the door, but I guess it could be. The upstairs is cramped and uncomfortably hot. Down the hall is a red handprint that could belong to a child, except it's too high up on the wall. Perhaps they were struggling with someone, trying not to be carried into this room. As Franco stares into the room, dozens of comments point out this figure staring back out at him from within the closet, just like the far wall says. I couldn't really see anything at first, but when I did, I suddenly wished I didn't try so hard. Something's there. Franco doesn't spend much time in this room because he gets an especially bad feeling, but one thing I noticed was this jet black spirit orb float up towards him and disappear. That's not a bug. The anxiety he gets from the second floor is a little too much, even for him, and look what happens when he goes back downstairs.
I'm hearing all sorts of noises everywhere and I don't have no cover at all, and I'm in the middle of the forest. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why it's going to be a little bit weird for me, because I can't deal with that.
This just so happens to be one of the only times he films behind him, so maybe this part is set up. Anyway, this was back when a supernatural challenge called Charlie Charlie was popular, and so he decides to play around before calling it quits. He sets up 2 pencils and waits for the ghost to respond.
Is there anyone in this house right now? Is there anyone that's
I don't know about you, but I see no string.
Do you wish me to leave this area?
A closer look under the light at 9 minutes and 17 seconds shows that nothing is tied around the pencil at all. He follows its advice and goes outside. By now, Franco is soaked in sweat and still hearing movements that I don't think he's making up because they sound too far away, deeper in the forest.
And from there? From there, I'm gonna head home. After that, I'm done. I gotta get out of here.
Part of him wants to leave, but he knows he has to explore the surrounding property because it's where more spirits roam around their unmarked graves. While staring out into the wilderness, he hears them.
What the is that?
It's not traffic because there's no roads out here, and exactly 2 seconds later it's accompanied by a voice warning him never to return.
Holy
Advice that Franco TV decides to take as he walks away from the Edison house with the blank, horrified stare of a man who has been shown far too much. Captured at nearly 2 a.m., this security footage left behind a phantom trace. Published by Highlight Seed in March of 2022, the mysterious video shows a couple of figures crossing along the dirt road outside of a compound. The first figure is solid. You can tell it's a human person making their way in the night. The second figure, however, although this one too is carrying a flashlight, the figure never appears solid in form, and halfway down the path, he seems to evaporate upward into the air. Both he and his flashlight beam disappear. Does the contrast between the two figures prove that one is not what it seems, or are our eyes deceiving us? Another poltergeist is haunting an abandoned church, and this one isn't so playful. Published to YouTube in July of 2021, this abandoned church has some supernatural visitors. Inside the church, amongst the whistling in the wilderness, something thuds nearby. The boys hold still, trying to listen for more unexplained noises. Moments later, they are standing there, casting light on the wall, when a distant, low-pitched moan is heard in the background. Well, in what looks like a basement space with lots of old items stored, a blast of sound is heard in the next room.
Güey, ¿qué pedo? Ven. Güey, ven. Se oyó acá, se oyó allá. Se oyó allá, güey.
Something heavy and out of sight was thrown on the ground. As the boys attempt to speak to the spirit, another strange moan sounds faintly.
La.
And then a couple of shelf doors are slammed shut with great force. In another area of the haunted church, several small successive thuds are followed by a strange double beep. They quickly get away from that space. Later, when peeking around a corner, a cabinet door slowly closes. Whatever is closed isn't caught on camera. Not long after, a big heavy door slowly opens before being jarringly half shut. They approach the door. There is nothing on the other side. As the scary video wraps up, one of the crew is taking in a dark room when they hear a faint noise in the darkness.
Como lo hicimos en aquella ocasión que entramos a este.
They look over, shining a light there but find nothing. What is following them through this church? Perhaps a demon that couldn't be redeemed. A YouTuber named Ola Bible lives in the middle of the forest in Oregon, far away from civilization. So when he hears noises outside of his house late at night, he curiously pokes around his backyard with a camera to find the source. It isn't long before he comes across an object that looks out of place. It looks like it could just be a rock or something, but he's memorized this area well enough to know it's foreign in nature. He zooms in.
The heck is that?
Then he says something out loud to himself and draws unwanted attention.
Oh my god!
A thin humanoid creature cranes its impossibly long neck in his direction. Look closely and you'll even see a surprised expression on its face, almost as if it's been caught doing something secretive. I can't tell if it's feasting on an animal, or maybe even burying something in the ground. He spins around and runs away before we get a chance to figure out what it's doing for sure. I guess the video could just be special effects, but I can't tell for certain. Maybe a follow-up video taken during the day would give us more conclusive evidence. This rocket ride is a famous local attraction at the Luna Park in St. Petersburg, Russia. Here's what the ride looks like normally, and this is what it looks like after a cable frays to the point of snapping clean through. This angle clearly shows how close the riders are to plummeting hundreds of feet below. Look at the top of the ride. That cable to the left is the only thing keeping them alive. The tip of the ride is bending from the pressure and looks ready to come off. Rescue workers are eventually able to get everyone down to safety, though I'm not sure they felt anything but safe while dangling over 200 feet in the air with no end in sight. This strange deer keeps repeatedly wandering into the yard of a YouTuber named Free Tickies. It seems to be without a herd, so at first Free Tiki suspects that it could be someone's pet, which is not all that uncommon of an occurrence where he lives in Kentucky. After a minute or so, it becomes evident that this deer is sick with something quite serious. Watch here and you'll see how the deer looks disoriented enough to walk up to another neighbor's house. I have little doubt that it would have wandered straight through the front door if it was open, potentially contaminating the entire inside. The YouTuber says that he called the local wildlife authorities and reported the deer shortly after recording this 2-minute video. I think he keeps a respectful distance for the most part and appears to be safe from any potential contamination. As for the deer, it sadly had to be put down by government officials after it kept walking onto the nearby Route 8 highway. If this video doesn't get your heart racing, it certainly did for this guy. His name is Daniel Stanley, and he gets so pumped up that he can make his heart do this. Watch this and tell me if you know what medical condition this is called. I couldn't find much information on this person, aside from the name and his reputation for being able to make his heart race so hard it nearly pops out of his chest. So please fill me in about his life if you happen to know more. While visiting a friend at a high school, these girls spotted strange flickering light inside, writing that it was flashing in a pattern. Posted by Babitz Manda to the Ghosts subreddit. The Redditor notes that this is the boys and the girls' locker rooms. Only the boys was acting up earlier, and now they're both flickering. Some suggest it's a rave, others think it may just be faulty wiring, or the fire alarm being tested. But MTNDo891 finds something else particularly unsettling. He writes, "Why do the locker rooms have windows so large and close to the ground? That's what I find creepy." That's a good point, so maybe their story is not what's actually going on here. Nevertheless, this either had to be a major electrical malfunction, or else the work of something paranormal. I just wish there was more video evidence so we could decide for sure. Have you ever seen something out of place reflected in the window? Posted to the Haunted subreddit by Please Recycle Those. This Redditor did, and he is wondering what these are. The Redditor explains in the comments that his dog heard a sound downstairs, so he followed the dog down with the camera rolling. As he is panning across a dining room area, when he captures his own reflection in the window. Panning past, something strange is reflected behind the cameraman in the window reflection. The Redditor is wondering if it's an arm. Some in the comments say it could be a ponytail, but the Redditor has short hair. Others think it's a fast-moving ghost or something leaving the scene. What do you think it is? Whatever it might be, it'll knock your socks off. A paranormal investigator named Paravent posted this video of their daughter, who they think may have attracted a spirit of her own.
I swear.
She raises the camera to show nobody is in there, and the corner is indeed empty. But when she thinks it's over, the spirit lets her get through just a little more of the song, and then moves the chair again. The chair isn't fully visible, so it could be staged because anybody could have moved it at the bottom, but when I first saw this, I thought it kind of looked like someone was pulling up a chair to hear her play, and that was before I read the many different comments saying the same thing. So is this fake, or really someone watching from the other side? Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.